The In This League Podcast Network. In this ring, in this corner, Joe Pisapia. This corner, Tim Heaney. Gentlemen, let's go.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia, and welcome to another glorious edition of In This Ring, the greatest wrestling podcast in the history of the universe. It's me, it's Tim Heaney, and holy crap, what an action spectacular we have for you today. Oof. I mean, we've got so much going on. People on Raw and SmackDown, people on SmackDown on Raw. We've got a huge guest for you. Wrestling royalty is going to be with us today. Brian Pillman Jr. is our special guest on the show. Of course, you remember his dad, Flying Brian, a.k.a. The loose cannon Brian Pillman, a.k.a. the guy that tried to shoot Stone Cold Steve Austin with a gun. That is very exciting stuff. We've got stuff to talk about the Saudi Arabia event. We've got breakups and engagements. Holy crap, Tim, I don't know about you. I'm overloaded, and I haven't even talked about our top 5 today, which is going to be the top 5 greatest character reboots in honor of all of the rebooting going on SmackDown and on Raw in terms of the Superstar Shakeup. Tim, this is a marathon today, not a sprint.
Dude, I'm tired just listening to you do that intro.
Maybe we should just stop. We should just call it a day. Let's not even do the show.
I'm on the best of shape, so I get tired easily. But that was, props for that nice little rapid spin through everything. And looking forward to listening to that interview, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Brian took some time out. For those of you who don't know, Brian Pillman Jr., who has decided to pick up the legacy of the family and began his wrestling career last year. He's in his 20s. Certainly has a lot of qualities of his dad. If you haven't seen him wrestle, go check him out on YouTube. But he's got a ton of energy. I think, he knows he's green. He knows he's still working. He's already had 30 matches, though, in a year. And I think that's terrific. And this is a guy that's out there working. And unfortunately, he's on an injury right now, but he was nice enough to take some time out. So we have that interview for you. But first, let's get to some of the news. And I want to start with the breakup. Because apparently John Cena said to Nikki Bella, "You can't see me anymore."
No, don't do this. Enough is enough.
Oh, you like that? You see what I did? Because that's what he says.
No hustle, no loyalty, no respect.
Nothing. I mean, John Cena just can't be tied down. He's 40. He's a movie star. He's an international icon. I mean, maybe he's just not the marrying kind. You can't change John Cena.
And I saw the worst meme I saw was what was it? Adult responsibilities, commitment, engagement, marriage, and children. Cena always kicks out at 2.
Oh, that's a good one. Mickey James is in the corner going, "See, I told you so, girl."
No. Man, I hate gossiping about this garbage, but it's a big deal. I think the wrestling world has to at least acknowledge the fact that it happened, and wherever reason it happens, if they're happy or whatever.
Well, he says, he said he was basically happy, with their relationship the way it was, and she obviously wasn't, from whatever that is. And look, is this huge wrestling news? No, but in the sense that, I mean, these people know the lifestyle, and as somebody who's been married and is not married anymore, I can tell you, I think the key to a happy marriage is spending time away from each other. So yep. I think Cena's probably on to something. But who are we to talk? And I know that, the last 2 weeks between WrestleMania and now this week, we haven't spent a whole lot of time on the Bullet Club stuff, and there's been a lot going on. But I promise you we'll get to that next week. I know we've been a little WWE-centric, and that's just because it's Wrestle Frickin' Mania. So what do you expect us to do? There's a lot of shit going on, all right?
Believe me, May and June, when Backlash is happening, we're going to be talking about other things because we'll want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Right, exactly. When these things are happening, I guarantee you, we will dive back into TNA stuff and to New Japan stuff and all. And I know there's been a lot of Bullet Club videos and stuff around, which have been very cool.
Got to talk about our boy Petey Williams too. Eventually,
we do talk about our boy Petey Williams. Maybe we'll get Petey on the show too. He's another good dude. I got to do a show with him not that long ago. So we'll get the crazy Canadian over here. We'll get him on this show too. Yep. All right, now here's another thing I got to talk about. Rusev Undertaker. It's a match. It's not a match. Is Rusev leaving WWE? It turns out Jericho's going to be fighting Undertaker. Oh, wait, no, it turns out it's not. It's Rusev because now there's a promo every 5 seconds for Rusev in the casket match. Tim, do you smell something afoul here? Like they called the bluff and WWE like choked? Or is this all part of the storyline? Like, I don't know where to go with this, man. They've got me on tilt because I'm confused.
I don't know if we worked ourselves into a shoot here, Joe, as our legend Hulk Hogan would say. But
let me tell you something, brother.
Oh my god, I want a Rusev Hogan match, man. That would be awesome.
Oh my god, I'm so rooting for Rusev in that one. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's why the complication. Okay.
I'll play devil's advocate. Here's why the complication.
Yeah.
The complication because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And something that people are already kind of rolling their eyes. Why are they doing this? Or I can't watch it, or I'm gonna have to watch it afterwards, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It certainly caused a lot of social media attention on it. Yeah. Okay, so there's devil's advocate. You're a social media guy. You're a social media guru, Heaney.
A social media guy who hates social media, maybe, but
well, that's what makes you so good at it. Your intolerance for it, It's like the people who hate children are wonderful parents,
right? Because they don't deal with crap. But I don't know. You're right. I mean, Rusev getting attention on himself by removing WWE in kayfabe form, I guess, is a nice touch. I'll say, I tweeted from our account like, please be a work, please be a work, please be a work. It got our attention. It worked, but it's a good spotlight match for him. Maybe, Rusev is definitely good in the ring that he can, kind of guide the Undertaker through some things. And, this will be mostly out of the ring anyway. So it should be a fun little affair. It's just, you almost wish he weren't being fed to Undertaker, but it is a good opportunity for him to kind of have a spotlight on him.
I agree. And, I would love to see Rusev win, but that's never going to happen. Mm-mm. So spoiler alert, guys. Sorry, boys and girls. Rusev's not going to win that match. But, yeah, to him to have a highlighted match in there, I'm all for it. I think it's great. And he's going to lose, and that's fine.
A literal burial, if you will.
Well, I mean,
I'm kidding.
I think what this was if you believe the other end of this is that they really just were like, you know what, it's not a big enough draw. Let's put Jericho in there. And maybe Jericho was like, maybe had second thoughts about the travel or wanting to do it. And Rusev was like, you know what, I'm going to go to social and put him on blast.
Right.
It just yet proves again that my man Rusev is over. And, I know Adam Rank, our good pal, Adam Rank from NFL Network, who was on a couple weeks ago, was on a suicide watch about this because it's every day is Rusev Day in the Rank house. So, yeah. And he and I were tweeting back and forth about it. So it's good that it's back on. We're all happy. So there you have it. All right, let's get to the Superstar Shakeups, and let's start with the full list. I'm going to run through the list, and then we'll take them all through.
It's a lot.
Here it is, guys. You ready? Get your pens and papers out there. And we have got – these are the people moving from SmackDown to Raw. Started with Jinder Mahal, which, I'm fine with. I mean, why not shake it up? It's a 3-hour show. At least you can bury Jinder somewhere in the 3 hours. It doesn't bother me as much because – I've got more wrestling to go, whereas I feel like Jinder on SmackDown bothers me because it's only a 2-hour show, and I know he's going to take up 15 minutes of my time in some fashion. And I'm always hoping during his match it's when the commercial thing runs on the side and they do the picture-in-picture, so I can kind of breeze through it. That's what I prefer. So Jinder goes over there, obviously loses them to Jeff Hardy, the U.S. Championship, which in turn he then brings to SmackDown, which we'll talk about in a second. And I was wondering, how are they going to do this? I was wondering, is Seth going to move over with Intercontinental? Yeah. That's provocative. That would have been fun. But, of course, that's a little too outside the box for WWE. Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, my favorite. Ruby Riott. So the Riott Squad come over. KO and Sammy come over.
Yeah.
You've got Zack Ryder coming over, which nobody really knew until I read this list.
That was a tweet. I don't even think it was an actual segment.
It was like it wasn't even a tweet on the show. If it was, I missed it.
Right.
I was in the bathroom or something happened. I'm thrilled about Breeze and Fandango, the Fashion Police, coming over. I said it last week, Tim. Raw needed New Day. Raw needed some kind of levity, some kind of fun, and the 3-hour show. You need more entertainment, and I'm very excited about these guys coming over to Raw.
Book'em Dango was probably the line of the night.
I hope Book'em Dango becomes a T-shirt, becomes a thing. And the bit where they gave them tickets was awesome. Mm-hmm. The bit where Fandango was getting rolled up by Cesaro and he couldn't roll him up. And he just he did it for so long that it was hilarious. And then he did the hip shuffle, the hip turn roll kind of thing. Dude, that was the highlight of the show. I thought that was the funniest spot I'd seen. I thought him running around the ring 2 weeks ago was funny, but last night was even funnier.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice breath of fresh air. I mean, you and I are both Tyler Breeze marks, so yeah,
we are huge. And speaking of being marks too, Sammy and Kevin coming over, we all knew that was already kind of in the works. And then when they put him with Miz, I thought, that was my reaction.
That was a tease.
All I said was, oh my God. This is the new greatest wrestling stable ever. This is it. And whatever the hell you want to, I don't care what kind of stupid crap you called it. Those three idiots together would have been so fantastic. And I don't care. You could even carry Dallas and Axel with him. It's fine. But it was such a bummer that then had Miz automatically move off there because you're right, Tim. It was such a tease. And the amount of mileage they could have gotten out of that as a stable, he's like, we're better than the NWO. We're like the Avengers or whatever. It's so great. And it's like such a bummer, man. I was so excited and so bummed out so fast.
Did you see Kevin Owens doing like the superhero pose as well?
Oh, it was great. What he was doing, it was like Batman with a fake cape. Oh, it was like, yes. Yeah. And all I wanted to, I was doing the Daniel Bryan yes thing. Yep. But why did they do that? Why did they tease it? They could have actually stretched this out another couple weeks and then moved him over. At least give me a couple months of this, right?
They make a trade, because they want, Paige and Shane wanted him there to face Daniel Bryan or something. Like leave
like a penalty, some sort of penalty match where Miz gets fired or Miz loses his job or is standing as the leader. It's just it was
so much too soon with some of these things.
Is that what it is? I mean, maybe it's just a matter of putting it together and seeing if it was as electric as we thought it would be and then saving it for next year, come January, maybe.
Yeah, typical tone. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's hope so. So Tyler Breeze, Fandango, good.
But you got the next part right, yeah.
And the next part I foretold on this very program last week. I said Natalia's the person to come over to work with Ronda. You need somebody who is historically professional, who has great lifelong, ability in the business, works in the ring, can help her in every single fashion, just kind of mentor her through. And of course, who shows up? Boom, Natalya. And of course, they're setting that whole thing up with the two of them that will disintegrate very soon. So that is a positive, even if she works together with her in a tag team. What did you think of Ronda's little move on Sonya Deville and all that stuff? It felt a little weird to me. And all of a sudden, I started to go, oh no, was the whole thing just a big cover? Did Triple H and everybody really just work her to death and get the greatest match possible out of her? And now all my greatest fears are going to come true?
I mean, it looked awkward. I mean, for one, it nerfed Sonya Deville's MMA gimmick to lose to Ronda Rousey.
Well, but I guess everybody lost to her for the most part anyway, so I guess you can...
Not the end, but I mean, it's just...
True, good point. Not
but,
the end.
it makes sense to get them on separate shows now so she can work that back up again. We'll get to that later. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, working with, like we said after WrestleMania, working with Angle and Triple H, that's going to elevate anybody. I could probably go at least 5 minutes with those two if we...
Well, with your conditioning, like you said, maybe 3.5, 4.
Hey, they can carry me. Chinlock City, it's all right.
Hey, I'm just going off of what you said about your cardio, man. I'm not,
true. That's true. I got a mean drop kick though. You'll see. But
whoa, is that a threat? I feel like the next time I'm in a football draft with you this summer in New York at some bar, I'm gonna turn around and Tim Heaney's gonna go full heel and drop kick my ass.
Well, I don't have to jump that high for that.
Oh man! Oh my God!
I'm salty this morning. I don't know.
You are salty. I love it. Hashtag Heaney's turned heel.
Heen turn.
Hashtag Heen turn.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. There's the hashtag.
But yeah, I mean, the whole Natalya Ronda thing makes a lot of sense, and yeah, it'll be an okay couple months, but we'll see how it works out. How long they're going to draw it out for one.
Oh wait, can someone explain to me why Mojo Rawley's still employed? I don't understand why they want, and he's moved over to Raw, and I get the feeling they're going to try to push him there, and I already know the answer to this question. It's not going to work. So, do you understand why? Because I don't understand why.
If they had that third non-NXT show, like a main event or something, not 205 Live, not NXT, but like that third WWE main roster show, I think it could be a good workout there. But yeah, it's a bloated roster, man. He might be cut soon. I don't know.
He's a perfect guy to go over to TNA.
Yeah, well, he could
because TNA is I think in all intents and purposes, that kind of a show where it's not like in the edgy world that NXT is. It's certainly not the quite independent scene either. But, you don't need quite the charisma of, Chris Jericho to get over there necessarily either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a good spot for him. I think he might actually succeed in a spot like that. And honestly, Zack Ryder at this point, too, I think the two of them might be better served to move on somewhere else because they're just buried
it's
right
a shame, now. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if do you think it's a shame or you think it's just.
Well, I always had a soft spot for Zack Ryder, I guess. I mean, because he got himself over so organically back in the day. And just kind of fizzled out, and John Cena said, "You can't see your spot."
And he broke up with him too.
Yeah,
he's such a heartbreaker. All right, let's get to probably my favorite moment of this is another thing I said. Dolph Ziggler needs a change. Dolph Ziggler coming to Raw, hooray! I thought the reception for him was very good. And of course, he doesn't come alone. Mm-hmm. He comes with Drew McIntyre 2.0. Woo! I'm excited. I like this. I like the pairing of the big, giant, imposing guy who looks the part and the smaller dude who's athletic and can talk the talk. So it's like the guy who walks the walk and the one who talks the talk. And putting them together, if you want to make them a tag team, if you want to make them a stable, if you want to add a third guy to this mix, it doesn't matter to me. I don't know, man. I have a good feeling about this one. And most of the time, I'm not wrong about these things. So I think this is going to work.
The HBK Diesel comparisons were flying all over the internet. Not to say it's at that level, but definitely just kind of what you said.
But wasn't that good for both of them?
It was, absolutely. But I'm just saying, it's that idea of the good talker, like you said, and then the brute force guy. I was so excited about McIntyre. I think that his second version of himself, like you said, so much better. He built himself back up in Ring of Honor and TNA Impact. Different Drew McIntyre than everyone remembers kind of from back in the day when he was the chosen one. But, the biggest development of all this, Heath Slater, Jinder Mahal, and Drew McIntyre on the same show. 3 MBs back together, baby.
Oh, my God. It's only a matter of time before the reunion tour goes through.
I love McIntyre. I love McIntyre. It's what he was doing at NXT. I'm really excited to see what's next.
And now with the bar moving, which we'll talk about that more too, which was just weird. Like that whole thing is weird. It's like they're fighting. Yeah, it's like the timing of it's so strange because it's like, well, we already know it's a fait accompli that Wyatt and Hardy are going to be tag champions because they're the only ones still on Raw. So why would they be Raw champions with the bar? It makes no sense to me unless they're just going to axe that all together at some point and just, put somebody else in there. And maybe it's a Ziggler or McIntyre. But I'll tell you what, I can't wait for the Fashion Police and the Hardy Wyatt match and feud because that is going to be, from a fashion discussion standpoint, hilarious. Those guys, that's entertaining. And it's okay to have a division that's just entertaining. And if you're going to make Ziggler and McIntyre a tag team too, great. Because then you've got this brute force kind of strength thing happening as well, which is very good. Now, speaking of brute, how about BC, Baron Corbin coming over, which I also think is good.
It's good, yeah.
I am a Corbin fan. I like Corbin. I know that's an unpopular thing. People think I'm not cool because I like Baron Corbin. But guess what? You guys are wrong because he's good in the ring. The guy's good in the ring. Is he the greatest, most charismatic guy? No, but he's certainly better than a lot of other people on the mic. And I think he is the victim of not giving him the proper setting to flourish and the proper person to go against. And I think if they push him in the right direction here, Baron Corbin can have a very good run here, and I think get to the point where I think WWE expects him to be.
No, I mean, his deep six is one of the most underrated moves in the WWE.
So good. He's so athletic for his size.
Well, football background's going to help you with that. I mean, it hasn't really put Mojo up a level, but Corbin accentuates his strengths. I think there's a lot of Intercontinental title picture coming here. I think he might be one of the few candidates to dethrone Seth Rollins when he actually is set to lose the title.
I like that a lot. And those are going to be some great matches.
Yes.
Because having a big, strong base kind of guy like a BC who can do certain things, with Seth and the smaller guys will always tell you it's great to work with a bigger guy because it allows you to do a lot of things. Whereas, when it's little guy on little guy, it's a little bit trickier. And I'm calling these guys little. They're not necessarily small. But
relatively little compared to each other.
Yeah. So right. I think that's a positive. So if Baron Corbin was a positive and Ziggler and McIntyre were positive, I think this is a negative. I think Bobby Roode moving there is a negative. Unless you turn him full heel. And they have yet to do it. and they missed their opportunity to do it at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why now if you're going to move him, but you got to turn him somehow. So you got to pair him with somebody who's very popular, and you got to have him go complete heel on him soon, or Bobby Roode is going to find himself out of WWE.
It's the glorious only aspect of his character is really wearing thin right now. We talked about his pass as a heel. He does such great work as a bad guy. Yeah, another Seth Rollins feud candidate for sure. If they actually do it right, but if it's just babyface versus babyface, it's going to fall flat, and everyone's going to root for Seth anyway because Seth is great. So, yeah, I hope that they're working in that direction. If they have him as a heel on the bigger Raw stage, that could play off. But fingers crossed they actually do something with it.
Yeah, let's hope. In other news, Mike Kanellis moves over. Connor and Victor, the Ascension, move over to Raw 2, which is another one of these kind of things where, it's weird because they were successful in NXT and it's just never worked. And then when you kind of make them a joke with, the Fashion Police, it kind of crushes their gimmick. So I don't know what you do with them at this point. I hope they rebrand them and reboot them, and maybe they get one more shot at it.
I kind of like the fake metalhead type stuff, though, because the Eddie Money tickets was kind of funny. That's one way to save your ass from messing up the characters and just kind of go down that hole of, wait, these guys are kind of eccentric and funny instead. But, yeah, I mean, there was potential there if they worked it right, but
it's just muddy.
One of my least favorite
It needs to be more definitive, that's all.
You're right. But, at least they're trying to identify something. One of my least favorite moments in recent history was when all the legends kicked their asses, and that just basically castrated any momentum they had at that point. So
all right.
But it's good to see Mike Kanellis back in the fold with all the rehab stuff he's been going through too. So, I will say that. It's nice.
Now, the last big move over, which was actually, I think, kind of under the radar. Sneaky, very sneaky. They kind of snuck it in there in the middle of the SmackDown show that he was moving to Raw, which is Chad Gable, which I'm super excited about. I am a Chad Gable supporter. When Jason Jordan got his push, I was pissing and moaning and ranting and raving about how in the world can that guy be getting a push? How is it not Chad Gable getting a push? Because this guy has all the earmarks to me of being a classic, amazing heel. He is great in the ring. He has got a lot of he's got swagger. He's got that X Factor thing. It's the thing that's made Shawn great. It's the things that makes, certain guys, the thing that made The Rock great. He's got that X Factor swag thing that when he comes out, all eyes are on him. And to me, now I don't know if that means he ends up kind of maybe him and Ziggler and McIntyre make a stable together. I'm all for more stables. I'm all for that. I don't want him to be a face at Raw. I want him to be a heel. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. But now you get to put him and Seth together. You get to put him and Finn Balor together. There's some really great opportunities. And look, I think it's time you want to push him too into that mix with Baron Corbin and Seth. Go for it. I think that's a great opportunity for Gable. You think that they're going to use him right, or you think they're going to blow this?
I think we'll get lost in the shuffle knowing what we know about the writing staff. The pairing him with bigger guys makes sense. So he can be even more of a douche, arrogant, because the big guy to back him up would help him. Jason Jordan wasn't really that because Gable could beat him up, and Gable talks, wrestles like he could be 6'5" also because he has good strength for a guy his size and all that.
Oh,
stuff.
He's powerful, man. Yeah. I remember watching him throw Rusev around. I'm going, wow, how is that possible? I mean, he's a powerful guy for his frame. He's athletic. He does the high flying stuff. He's good on the mic. I mean, it's just all around, man. Like that dude just needs the push and leave him alone and just let it happen and just step back and enjoy the awesome, because I'm telling you right now, I think in 2 years when we're still doing this podcast, because I believe in us, in 2 years from now, we'll be sitting here and he will be in that intercontinental, area / even pushing for more if they do it right, because that guy's got all the tools and all the talent. All right, we've got a lot more to get to. We've got SmackDown, new faces, more people coming from NXT, which is great, which we're seeing that evolution there, which is terrific. But before we talk about that and our top 5, and we also got to give our reviews of the Andre the Giant documentary. We're going to step away for a second, take a break. When we come back, my interview with Brian Pillman Jr. right here on In This Ring. Stick around. It's a great piece. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back right after this.
In This Ring.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to In This Ring. Joe Pisapia, Tim Heaney, and Tim's going to step away for a second, but our guest is wrestling, family royalty, and I am really, really pleased that he took the time out to talk with us. Unfortunately, he's dealing with an injury right now, which absolutely sucks. So he's got extra time on his hands, and it's questionable whether or not he chose to spend it correctly, hanging out with us and talking wrestling, but we're grateful that he did. He's Brian Pillman Jr. He's out there in the indie scene right now. He's had a really good, strong debut out there. Brian, thanks so much for joining us on the show today, my brother.
Hey, Nate, thanks for having me, baby. It's always a pleasure to get on here and talk about wrestling and how things are going and stuff.
Look, thanks to, we live in such a different era now, and, thanks to YouTube and all these things, I've been able to watch your stuff. And, I got to say, man, the energy that you're bringing out there, I feel like you're one of these dudes that, maybe it is true, maybe it is in the blood, but every time I feel like I've seen you out there, it's like the energy you bring, it's more comfortable every single time out there. And I know right now it's kind of a bummer for you because I'm sure you probably felt the same way, but right now tell everybody what's going on there. You told me the story before we came on today. Tell us about the injury and what's happening right now for you.
Yeah, so, I was about 30 matches into my career and, just getting prepared for New Orleans weekend. It was booked down at Spring Break, Joey Janela's Spring Break 2. And I actually wasn't booked the weekend prior to that, so I would have had a nice little rest weekend going into New Orleans. But I thought, I'll go to training still and just see what I can learn. I actually had a really good practice. I learned a bunch of different moves and transitions that I was working on. So I was feeling really good about myself, was just coming off a high from the CrossFit. You get that runner's high. And, it happened so fast. I hyperextended my left knee and tore about 75% of my PCL, and I tore up my meniscus a little bit. So instead of just jumping back in and putting more stress on that meniscus, I went ahead and got the surgery. Had I not gotten the surgery, I might have been back in 3 months. But with the doctors and everybody telling me it's my best for the future, for the long run, it's best bet to get surgery on that meniscus and clean that thing up. And then the rest of it's just going to be rehabbing my quads and getting my quads back together, getting them strong again. And that, all in all, it's going to take about 6 months. Hopefully come back a little bit sooner. All depends on how strong I can get my quad and everything. So just been doing my physical therapy, doing my rehab just every day, and so.
Well, and that's the whole thing, man. It's and what you tend to do at the time. It number one, it's like it keeps you and realizes, hey, wait, I really do love this. When you're not doing it, I think that's when you start to realize that.
Oh yeah, you start to appreciate it a lot more. Not many people in the business get a lot of the things that I've gotten. Starting off, I've been very privileged to have a lot of bookings and a lot of attention and hype, and it's like. My first match, it was almost like it was all over every wrestling website ever, Do
you feel pressure about that, Brian? Do you in a way, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because everybody wants exposure, but at the same time, it's like the exposure might come for you at points where it's not that I don't want to say not fair, but really, for anybody who's 30 matches into their career, is there an undue pressure that's put on you because of the last name and because of all of that? And do you actually like that pressure? Is that something you feel like it's actually a benefit?
I thought that at first, and it was a lot, and I kept being so critical. I'd come through the curtain, like beating myself up over a couple little things, and everybody else be like, oh, no, great match and all that. And it's just like, you never know if they're just blowing smoke up your ass or if they really mean it. Well, it's hard. It's hard to really ever tell if you ever did have a good match when you're in those shoes. And it's just like, did I really have one, or are people just saying that? So it's like, it's really hard to judge. I just have to be my own worst critic, and I always was a really harsh critic on myself. But now that I thought the exposure, I don't want to wrestle at these higher level indies because then everybody will see it, you know what I mean? Or I'll be criticized by their smart fans. But I quickly realized once I started wrestling and just getting into my own and not letting it get to me that it doesn't matter. The pressure's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially now that I've kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath me with this injury. I'm not wasting any more time when I get back. I'm not trying to hide. I'm going to get booked everywhere I can, because you really only got one body and one chance to do this. And I was kind of, baby footing it a little bit, like, oh, I don't want to be seen here. I don't want to be seen there. It's like, no, fuck all that, man. Like, as soon as I get back, I'm taking every booking I can get. I don't give a shit if I don't put on as good a match as someone that's been in the business for 9-10 years. It's like, okay, but you know what? I've got a lot of fire, got a lot of intensity, and I'm a little bit over with my name. So, if I can bring some smiles to the faces in the crowds and have some sense of ring presence, then I think it's going to be a good old time. And people are going to realize that everywhere I go, the draw's been up just based on the curiosity of, the young star, but breaking into the business. Everywhere I go, the draw's up. So it's only going to help everybody and benefit everybody as soon as I get back into it.
Well, and you know what? I mean, like you said, in the top of the interview, there is something to be said about it's in the blood, it's in the blood of a Dwayne Johnson. It's in the blood of these second generation or even third generation people in the business. And it's one of these family businesses. And I know you were a little later to the business. You were an athlete and you kind of came to it later. Take us through that real quick. Just how did that end up coming about where you ended up turning over and saying, you know what, I'm going to decide to give this a shot, whereas really, in your youth, it really wasn't quite a thing for you.
Yeah, my youth was more or less kind of demonized, it killed your father. And then a lot of the kids I grew up with and played football with, they're like, oh, it's fake, it's lame, So it's like,
yeah, put them on the mat to tell me it's fake. That's what man, that's what I always tell people because I teach combat and stuff. I'm like, you want to talk and sword fighting and stuff. You want to tell me it's fake. You see the bruises and the bump, you see the injuries and stuff like that. We put you on there and you tell me how fake this stuff is. But you don't realize the athleticism, what goes in there and stuff like that. Go ahead.
And I've learned, the amount I've learned is it's unreal. And it's just amazing how much depth that this art has, when you compare it to other combat sports. It's just like, holy shit, you could do whatever you want in that ring and you can make it real as real as you want it, so I'm dealing with a real fucking injury, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I understand, man. I've been there.
It took me a while to come into my own. I mean, I played lacrosse in college, and then I played high school football at a pretty high level. We had a pretty high division high school, and I was on the all-star team and defensive MVP for that. But it took me a while to actually say, oh shit, like I actually have a really good looking body for this, because it's not until your 20s where you can really start putting on weight,
right?
Like we lifted a lot of weight in high school for football and stuff, but you don't keep that weight on when you're 17, 18. It's like once you get to be about 22, 23, that's when you can actually start building some muscle mass. And I thought, holy shit, I look really good. I'm really flexible, did a lot of hot yoga. That was a big hobby of mine before I got into wrestling, just to kind of counteract with my desk job. I needed something to stay active and stay flexible. So once I started to see my body transform, that's when I started to realize that, maybe I can take this good look that I have, this wonderful legacy, this awesome name that I have, and maybe just reach out to some friends of my dad's and just, see if it's worth getting it. And I didn't know if the business was that lucrative anymore either. I always thought that all the money was made back in the 90s and back in the day. I didn't know that people were still making a good living off wrestling. But as I've seen it, especially with the way Vince has evolved sports entertainment and the way social media and the independent scene especially is booming, I was like, holy shit, it is a gold mine of opportunity right now. So I was like, it's pretty much a no-brainer at that point to get into wrestling and stuff. And I think maybe I went a little too quick at it. I should have maybe laid low for a while and trained some more.
And you trained with Lance Storm, right? Lance Storm was one of your trainers, right?
With the best. Yeah.
What was some of the things you took away from Lance too? Because I mean that's a guy that I've such incredible respect for as a worker. I mean, one of the great in-ring performers and a guy who, did everything from the small promotions when they were still in some sort of territorial things from Canada. And then also, obviously he did work for the big companies as well. What were some of the things that Storm instilled in you early on in that training?
Well, one of the things is Lance, he could do it all. You know what I mean? He might not have been the most charismatic individual, but he could work any style, any which way and everything. And the one thing he really instilled in me was that, like, you don't have to do all the moves like everybody's doing, like all these indie guys trying to get noticed, like doing all these high risk maneuvers. He's like, you don't have to go to that extent. He's like, not everybody can just be Ricochet. You know what I mean? He's like,
no, they can't.
He's like, yeah, he's like, you got a name already. If you have some charisma to back that up, he's like, if you can just be larger than life, then people are going to see less is more in that case, right? Like, you can make the smallest things seem so big and pronounced and powerful. You know what I mean? It's like Hulk Hogan did a fucking leg drop, for crying out loud, and the place went nuts. But nowadays it takes, a triple moonsault just to get somebody to pop out of their seat, because that's what it takes to get over anymore. And so my advantage being over with my family heritage is that I could go out there and maybe get away with doing less and conserve my body a little bit. My dad was known as Flying Brian, and he was considered innovative doing, springboard out the middle of the ropes. Today that's like a fucking clothesline. I mean, if you can't do a springboard today, it's like, oh, like, what are you doing in there? You know what I mean? Like, everybody does one.
But you know what? It's funny, Brian,
like
because you go back and you look at, like Wrestle Kingdom when Jericho and Omega fought. Chris Jericho is one of these guys that he had some big moves in the skill set, but it was always Jericho, and Jericho is always one of my favorite guys because it was his ability to capture your imagination, the psychology of the matches, the things he would do in the ring, the things he would do outside the ring, where it all just works. And for me, and I'll tell you what, it was something we just talked about on the show, when we were doing the WrestleMania weekend recap. People wanted to talk about the Gargano match and all that stuff at the end of NXT with Ciampa, but to me, the match was Aleister Black and Almas, because it was those guys in there telling a story, no frills, no extra stuff, just pure work in the middle of the ring. And to me, that's always like the highest form.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I got to talk to Jericho as well. And when I went and did the podcast with him, and he said, you know what, he's like, you're going to get over the same way I got over. And that's, it's being larger than life. It's constantly evolving and changing up your style and who your character is. It's like, if all you can do is a bunch of moves, then how do you evolve? How do you change if you're just going to go out there and just, that's what you're known for. You know what I mean? You gotta have that charisma. You gotta have that character work, that promo work, and you gotta be able to adapt.
Well, when you're looking for a manager, make sure you call me up, because I'm ready to go, man. I'm going to be ready when you.
with this fucking leg at this point, I'll be the goddamn manager.
No. Well, and you told me you're going to be working on holds and all kinds of stuff during your injury. I hope you work on some of those classic Jericho holds.
I'm trying to keep my mind available with wrestling. Of course, I watch my matches and stuff, and I keep up to date. I got my notebook and stuff, but I think I'm going to do something more invested, something more like a little project. I'm going to do a little encyclopedia, so to speak, of different holds to kind of up my knowledge on in-ring stuff and my chaining and just that mat work, getting out there and just looking like a wrestler. Because at the end of the day, it's a wrestling match, and people forget that.
Right.
People forget that a wrestling match is about breaking down your opponent, wearing them down, working a body part. There's not enough of that anymore. And, I'm a wrestler. My father was a wrestler. That's what, he was known for his technical stuff as well. So, I think I'm going to bring some of that back and keep a little bit of the high flying stuff I do in there. But I want to bring back some technical wrestling, some mat wrestling. And I'm going to start with that, with just building up my knowledge base.
And I'll tell you what, man, I mean, just from talking to you, and I've seen clips of other interviews and stuff that you've done in the last year. And, and even like talking to you now from some of the stuff I saw, like, maybe 6 months ago, it feels like you're just in the right place with everything. And even though this injury is a setback for you, it feels almost like you're looking at it as an opportunity more than a setback. Because if you look at it as a setback, it's going to take its toll on you mentally. But to me, man, you've just got all the right things in the right place. And you're, it seems like, I think good things, and I'm rooting for you, man. Not just because of your dad. I'm rooting for you because I think it's an opportunity for good entertainment for us and somebody who it appears has a passion for the business. My last question is, what's your vision for success in this business for you? I think everybody has a different idea of, the level they want to get to or what they want out of this business. what is it so far that if I said, what's your idea of this is a success for me as a wrestler, as a professional, what do you think that level is for you?
I want to be able to not only support myself, but also support my family and the people that helped me along the way. My Aunt Linda, who took me in when I could no longer live with my mother, when the living conditions were unbearable, that I had to move out, and she came down and bought me a house down here. So maybe one day I can get her a new house and take care of her. And I think to me, that's the level of success, paying off all my debts, my student loans and stuff. And then I can start thinking about ascending higher, into becoming a top guy or something in the wrestling world, and then maybe start pursuing other projects. But to me, it's all about paying back those that have helped me out along the way, and those have helped me bring me up and out of the hood, so to speak, in my younger years. And so because the life I'm living right now is just, it's 900 times better than the life I was living, say 8-9 years ago. So it's just, like I can't, like at this point, I got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? I'm in a good spot with my family and stuff. So I just want to. But I want to succeed, just like I said, I went to college. I don't know if I talked about this earlier in the podcast, but went to college and, more or less succeeded at being average. So maybe I can succeed at being more than average. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what, man? It takes the right opportunities and the right timing and the right thing to make somebody realize their potential. And it comes at different times for different people. I never thought I'd end up doing radio and doing the stuff I do. I worked as an actor for 15 years in the business, and I never thought I'd end up training people in something that just because I studied fighting and stuff like that, I never thought I'd be working on that end. So it's funny, like those things that end up opening up for you. And I could tell you, man, you've got two fans in myself and Tim, our hosts here of the show. And I think after this, you're going to have even more fans. And I'm excited for you to get back, and I hope when you're working on those holds, you work on those, what was the Jericho list of 1,004 holds, like the Saskatchewan spinning nerve hold or some crazy shit like that, man. Those are my favorite. Yeah. One of my favorite bits, the three-handled family gradunzel. I don't know what that is, man, but it sounds hilarious. But dude, we wish you all the best, speedy recovery, man. And if you ever want to hop on, you got something to promote or talk about, we always want to have you on here on In This Ring. And I'm telling you, man, I'm excited. Like after talking to you, man, I'm excited for these 6 months to go fly by and see that new Brian Pillman Jr. 2.0 is going to be out there, who is accepting and ready for all that stuff that's coming at him. And it looks like he wants to attack it, man. I'm stoked for you, brother.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Thanks for your time. Oh, and where can everybody follow you on Twitter and everything too, social-wise? Let's get that out there too.
Oh, yeah. And if you haven't followed me already, which you probably have, I'm Flying Brian Jr. on Twitter.
That's right. And what are you doing with your time if you haven't followed him already? God, people, come on.
I know. It's crazy. People are wild. Sometimes I see people that are on wrestling. They're like wrestling fans. I'm like, how are they not following me already?
I don't know, man. Well, now they all are. So, and anywhere else on social you want to plug?
Yeah, and my Instagram as well. Of course, that's kind of how I got started connecting with people, was on Instagram. So that's a Flying Brian 41.
Nice. Awesome stuff. Brian, thanks again for the time, man. And like we all said, speedy recovery. Keep working on those holds and keep pumping that out there, man, because I think you're the real deal, and I'm excited to see you.
Hey, appreciate that.
I will drive nothing but Mercedes or Rolls Royce. I will go nowhere. I'm a commercial airliner. I will ride in nothing but limousine, and I will make love to nothing but
In This Ring.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to In This Ring. Joe Pisapia, Tim Heaney. Great stuff there from Brian Pillman Jr., Brian Pillman II. We wish him the best on his career. And he already told me when he comes back from his injury, Tim, he wants to come back and promote himself out there as well when he's back and taking bookings again, which is going to be hopefully in the next couple months. So we've already made a friend. He's a friend of the show now.
I love it. He's got a lot of potential. I got to watch more of his matches, but for sure, if you can already see that he's modeling, like you said, a little bit after his dad. And his dad was obviously a very, very charismatic performer. And yeah, definitely. If the scheduling works out better for me this time, I definitely want to hop in on that interview. So
100%, man.
Gotta kind of work that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we try to make it easy for these folks to come on and chat with us on their time. Adam Rank got up. He's like, I don't care what time. I want to come and talk to everybody. He's on the West Coast, so he got up at like the crack of dawn.
Well, Adam has endless energy, man. That guy is just.
He does. Well, it's because he's on massive amounts of steroids, as I always say. I'm kidding. We love Adam. He's our friend. It's a joke. All right, so let's talk about
suspension.
See, we make friends of the show and then we lose friends of the show. That's what we do.
Thanks,
all
Joe.
right, so hey, look, I mean, if John Cena can break up with people, why can't we? Let's continue on here. SmackDown Live gets The Miz, which I am excited about because I know you love The Miz. I love The Miz. I think it's clearly going to be Miz and Daniel Bryan. That's going to be great.
Can't wait for that. SummerSlam, hopefully. Hope they draw it out.
I hope so too. Are you gonna? I'm gonna be at SummerSlam. Are you gonna be there? Did you?
Well, I'm going to NXT.
You go to NXT.
I will be. I usually get secondhand if I'm going to SummerSlam. I usually go to NXT and the Raw and then watch SummerSlam with my buddies, but we'll see. See what happens.
All right. Well, I will be there at SummerSlam, so it's good.
Nice.
We'll each be able to, discuss live experience some part of it, and we should do some live recordings and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do a bunch of stuff. But the Miz will be over there, which is great.
Yes.
Love the promo. His little baby is actually very, very cute. That's a cute little peanut-looking baby.
I mean, it is pretty good stock, I think.
It is. But but babies are funny like that. You get some babies that look like turds, weird little like shriveled up grapes. It's true.
You're right.
I got two kids. My kids happen to be cute, and they are. But people have said they think all their babies are beautiful. Hey, look, all babies are beautiful, but not all of them are cute. All right.
That's fair. All right. That's actually well said.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just saying, sometimes you're like, oh, Jesus, like what's wrong with the baby there,
but yes. What a cute raisin. Aww.
Yeah. I mean, and look, it's not to say that they won't grow out of it.
Oh, it's just awkward baby faces.
It's just awkward, weird, shriveled up, prunish raisin looking thing. All right.
What a tangent.
Jeff Hardy returns
anyway
with the belt. Yeah, there's no way to segue, so screw it.
No.
Jeff Hardy returns with the U.S. Championship, so
cool. Good idea.
Which is fun. A little bit of veteran presence, which I think that show kind of needed a little bit. Orton's there, so obviously you got Orton in the mix now. Shelton Benjamin now going solo in the mix. That's a good thing. This is funny. This feels very WWE circa 2004 to me.
Right.
Right? Like,
well, I was saying it was like the senior tour with the three of those guys in the same ring.
But I feel like I've kind of seen this show, and it's kind of like, This is like this is the reboot, like when they brought Roseanne back or Will and Grace back. Oh, it's like, they're bringing Shelton Benjamin as a singles and Jeff Hardy as a singles, and look, Randy Orton's involved, and it's just it's fine, it's good. I'm for it.
Nostalgia.
It's a little member berries. So positive on that end. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose move over, which is no surprise there. I think it's time to brand them now on their own officially. Let's get them their own music. Let's get them their own, own entrances and all of that. Mandy, I would like to see with the singles push, but if they want to do especially now that all the pay-per-views, we did the We Are the World thing where everybody pretended to sing in the studio, which I kind of found amusing at times. But if you're going to do that, do the women's tag team. Do it because you could just have feuds go back and forth and show up at pay-per-views and make it work. So if you want to put the belts on them, do it.
A single women's tag between the two shows, yes.
Yes, single women's tag between the two shows. Make it work. There you go. Samoa Joe, who cuts promos on Roman Reigns, but now after 2 weeks in a row, now isn't going to cut a promo on him, but is just going to show up at Backlash. This is another one where I'm scratching my head because now he's over on SmackDown, which I'm all for because you get him and AJ back together, which is going to be amazing. But I'm a little confused because I'm thinking to myself, what was the point of all that Roman stuff?
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, the guy has a decent car. Roman Reigns, his cousin's a movie star.
I don't know, just because he had nothing to do just to get him back, and they knew people would cheer him because he was going against Roman, which, that's self-defeating booking right there. But they're getting all the ROH guys back for Daniel Bryan to wrestle. It's great. So
and you know what? If SmackDown's going to become ROH 2.0,
yeah,
I'm fine with that because you're looking around this roster right now, and it's kind of what it's starting to look like. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, it's got that feel to it, and that's good. And if it's going to, the best thing I think for SmackDown to be is that hybrid of Raw and NXT. And if they can find the athletic wrestling of NXT and combine it with a little bit of the production value and the storytelling or what's needed for the WWE overall universe to get over, that's a good thing. I think that's a good identity for the show. And you can see that direction starting to take, especially with some of the other guys who we're going to talk about in a little bit, who are also joining the show. Let's talk about a guy who I didn't think was coming anytime soon. I thought he would be back in the summer. It's Big Cass. I thought he was at least another 2 to 3 months away with that knee. He's got a huge brace on it, obviously. Yeah. But Big Cass showed up, good shape. I like Cass. I think it's good to have a big dude on the show. You could, pair him with the little dudes, like I said, have some phenomenal fun matches. You could put him against the Rusevs of the world, and I think that would be a good foil for him. So what are your thoughts when you saw Big Cass? Surprised, excited, shocked, dismayed? What was it?
Pretty good. I was a little surprised too. I mean, they exaggerate timetables here and there depending on the injury, but moving on from the Enzo stuff, might be tough to dissociate. But I think, if they're going to have Daniel Bryan and Cass wrestle, I mean, that's a good guy to learn from in Daniel Bryan. So, it's a good thing to kind of, they move Baron Corbin off, so they'll have Big Cass in that role of, the bigger guy being a bully and stuff like that. So I think it'll work. I want to see how he kind of goes with the charisma stuff again. I mean, it was nice that he could play off Daniel Bryan with the size thing. It's an easy thing for him to go to as, establishing himself. So, yeah, I'll see where it goes. I'm okay with it.
He needs a talker or a manager.
Yeah, he needs something.
He needs somebody. He needs a sidekick. And Enzo was a good sidekick, and I think that's part of what worked, that, he needs a Dolph at this point or whatever it is. He needs a compliment, maybe not a sidekick, but a compliment. The problem is, I don't know. There's nobody on this roster that really pops for me in that role. It's funny. Chad Gable would have been interesting in that role. I think he would have worked. But is there anybody on the SmackDown roster for you that you think would fill this complimentary cast role, to kind of roll with him, basically?
I don't know. I really can't think of anybody offhand here. It's. I mean, being the shorter show as it is, I'm wondering, if there's anybody that could be.
All right. Is it Ty Dillinger?
No.
I don't know, just throwing it out there. I'm trying to find something for that kid to do.
Believe me, I know. I'm a 10 head as much as anybody else, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, there's nothing that really kind of fits there because everyone's kind of got their own track that I can think of right now.
Well, Ty doesn't have a track.
Well, but he's doing the comedy relief type of stuff. So I think that pairing with Cass would be a little weird.
Yeah, I get a good point. I just want to find something for that kid because I feel like he's got so much talent. It's just
he was so over in NXT, man, so over.
I know. You know what? He might be another one of these guys where it might be good for him to go back, a la Drew McIntyre, and just go back to the well and just figure it out and then remake yourself up.
I think he got called up too soon, to be honest with you.
That's fair. Or maybe call it up at the wrong time where there wasn't the right spot. Maybe it's a combination.
He was just kind of got another guy lost in the shovel. Maybe not because he was at NXT for so long. He was at NXT for several years, but I don't know. He could have had the title in NXT for a little bit and then maybe get a run out of that.
Yeah.
He had a good feud with Bobby Roode going, and they kind of just nerfed that a little bit. So.
Well, yeah, and there you go. I'd love to put those two guys back together with Roode as the heel, right? But now you can't do that. So that's another reason why I'm kind of mad. It's like keep him there, turn him, make something happen, just figure it out. All right, now speaking of guys from NXT, our boys. Sanity are up. As soon as I saw it, I immediately texted EY. I was like, dude, congrats, man. That's awesome. And he and I chatted for a little bit last night, and he seemed really ready for it. So Eric is another friend of the show. He's a friend.
He's earned it, man. He has
earned it. And I told him, I was like, dude, when you're out there, go out there, just be you because you're the, you've been working for this for so long. You've got nothing to prove and nothing to lose. So just go out there and just crush it. And he seems really good about it. And Eric and I've done a lot of football shows. Eric's a big football guy, and he's actually going to be on our football podcast on Full 60 this summer for a couple shows with Welsh and Bogman and myself. So check that out over on
In This League
Fantrax.
plug. I like it.
Oh, In This League plug because we are a part. In This Ring is part of the In This League network. Let's not forget that the mothership and the sister ship, which is Fantrax with the Full 60 show. Everything's cross promoting. We're like we're the Bullet Club.
Synergy.
Yeah, we're the Bullet Club of fantasy sports right now. You, me, Welsh, Bogman. That's kind of what we are. I guess you and I are the golden lovers, though. I'm pretty sure. So
most people say that. So
most people would say that. Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane. So Saturday comes up. No Nikki Cross, which I know you're bummed about, but I think It's good because I think Nikki gets her title run now.
You're right.
This is her shot.
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed because I love her with Sanity because they just complete each other.
And she'll be up there.
Yes.
But if you bring her up now, she gets lost in the shuffle of all these other women that have come up right now.
Yeah, well, generic sad face, not seeing Nikki Cross in anything is always a sad thing. But yeah, she'll be great. I mean, like you said, she could be the one that conquers Shayna now, which is a great idea because Nikki Cross is also hugely over in NXT. Mm-hmm. So,
and you get these guys like EY who's worked with Samoa Joe and AJ, like we've got a lot of familiarity now with these guys, which I think is really good because you've got a situation where these guys know each other, you know how they work, they are experienced, and I think this is an opportunity here with this group, like you said, the ROH 2.0 or the golden years of TNA when some of these guys were all together there. This is a real opportunity for them to really make this show their own. And I think so far I was very positive about this group.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sanity just made such a great run in NXT. They've had some like abbreviated feuds because people have gotten called up and stuff like that. Ty Dillinger actually being one of them. But I mean, there's so much talent in that ring. Killian Dane steals the show in almost every match he's in.
Totally. I mean, he was great in the ladder match too.
Oh my God. He's speaking of big men that can move, right? Yep. And then Alexander Wolf has found himself. He's got that great Masha character going. He's fun to watch, and EY being the cerebral genius behind all of it. Just the great promo and all that stuff. It's just it works, man. Sanity. I'm glad they separated Authors of Pain and Sanity because they can both wreak havoc on these shows separately. So
I'm still holding my breath on Authors of Pain that they're going to work. I think
I trust Sanity more
flat.
Than
I think Authors of Pain is one of those groups that they're great on that lower level. They would be great on TNA. They would be great on ROH. It'd be great everywhere. But when you get them to the WWE to Raw specifically, it's a tough sell because you have to have that other gear on the big 3-hour show.
That's true.
And I don't know if they have that other gear. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll grow into it. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk, and you know what? And I know we keep forgetting Bobby Lashley. And that's exactly the point I want to make about Bobby Lashley, but we'll hold that. We keep forgetting. We forgot to talk about him last week of all the things that happened after WrestleMania. Then we had him queued up to talk about in the show at the top. We didn't talk about him. And here we are, and I mentioned him, but so remind me to talk about him. Now, Asuka's been MIA. She finally shows up there, which is good. I was kind of hoping that she would just then, after she came in to save Charlotte,
just kicked her in the face.
Kicked her in the face, kicked Becky in the face, and walked out. Like, that would have been amazing. That would have been like Asuka loner, nobody can trust her. Good. But I guess I don't want to make too many Japanese loner heels at the same time on one show.
That's true.
Which, oh my God, by the way, can we just talk about how great that's working? And if they don't make a shirt that says I don't speak English soon, I'm going to have to make one myself because I love that shirt. I wanted to say need to face and on the back say I know speak English.
Oh God. I mean, that is why he's my boy. I mean,
the heel turn is so good. And he keeps hitting him in the balls. And that's why every time it's not like he's hitting him with a chair. It's always the same thing where he hits him in the balls and he leaves the forearm up there for an incredibally ridiculously long amount of time. If it's 30 seconds, it feels like 7.5 minutes, and it's freaking amazing. I absolutely love it.
It's like Brock Lesnar used to get kicked in the dick all the time by The Undertaker. This is what's happening now.
Oh, all right. Speaking of indie darlings moving over, how about Anderson and Gallows, which I was, again, positive. I think they need a switch. But I thought Balor would be moving with them.
I know.
I thought for sure that would be the move. You move those guys, and boom. Then you got Balor, Anderson, and Gallows against Sanity. OMG, dude. There's your rivalry. What happened?
Maybe AJ Styles.
Yeah, what happened? Unless AJ pairs with them, which is also fine.
Yeah, I mean, either way, they have one on each show that they can work with. I wish the 4 of them would just be, oh my God. I mean.
Well, but I mean, just do it. What are we waiting for? These guys aren't getting any younger. It's not like they're 20 years old anymore, these guys. No. It's like don't tease it. Just do it and see what happens because you might surprise yourself. So maybe it does become AJ. Maybe that is the thing. And that's good because AJ, EY, Wolf, and Dane, with those Gallows and Anderson, that's perfectly acceptable as well. I don't see how that works out with the way AJ's stationed right now at the top of the food chain.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
whatever.
It's kind of a wrong timing thing again. So
all right,
maybe they'll work toward it.
Maybe. I don't know. It's going to be a long show today, guys. So enjoy the bonus time because Tim and I are just got too much to talk about. All right, let's Cesaro and Sheamus. We already talked about that move.
Whatever.
I don't understand why.
Weird.
I just think Sheamus is kind of fading into the sunset. Cesaro will get a singles push, and that's probably the best thing that'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got his injuries, and respect to Sheamus for working through all this time, but he needs a break, man. He needs time off. If not, I don't know about retiring, but see where
he's a perfect guy to move into the announce area.
Yeah, he could work.
Corey Graves need not be on 2 shows.
Fair enough, and I think that might be running him ragged a little bit because what was it? Bullet Club is for everyone on Raw. We didn't even touch that. Then he said that, so
that's true. This is true.
Bullet Club is for everyone, especially in WWE.
Is our truth for everyone? Because he's back again, and I just don't understand how long. Like
on a 2-hour show, he's a better time killer on Raw, like you said.
And I got a lot of respect for Ron because he's one of these guys. It's just a lifer, a lifer in the business. And I think he's just got a lot of respect in the locker room. But at a certain point, it's kind of like, I don't know what he brings to the table anymore in the ring, out of the ring. I mean, it was an amusing little bit, but I mean, I don't know. And last, but certainly not least, my favorite thing, El Idolo, Cien Almas is here, and he's with Selena Vega, which I'm very excited. Mm-hmm. Andrade Cien Almas, El Idolo is here, and I am very excited, Demini. I am so excited. And look, this is another guy, too, where I almost – part of me worried that putting him on SmackDown, there wasn't enough time for everybody. Like, I feel like he might have been better suited on Raw. But what's your thoughts on Almas? You give me your take on this.
Well, if we're making SmackDown like we're building up the wrestling show aspect of SmackDown. Like if we're going to make it, Paul Heyman era SmackDown or, like you said, NXT, WWE combo, almost is perfect because, he can go for sure. Maybe had a couple of the best matches in NXT history coming off that great title reign. That was a surprise that we never expected, but character development's been so great. We talk about it. And I can you rush into the title picture so soon? Not really, but vignette style him, make him like an attraction. Don't make him wrestle every week. Make him like a special thing for now. It could work, and Zelina Vega could work as a women's competitor, working her way up the ladder eventually. She's good. I don't know if I'd put her in like the Charlotte, Asuka category or Becky category, but she's got some competence there too, and she'll be great as a manager. So they could work as an attraction on their own for now, and let the rest of the universe that doesn't know them get to know them.
Yeah. Oh, look, I just don't want him to get lost in this shuffle.
I know.
That's the only thing I don't. Yeah, and I worry about the 2-hour show and getting lost in the shuffle. We shall see. We shall see how that goes. But everyone knows on this program I'm a big Almas guy, and that was a very positive thing. So
we will not tranquilo.
We no tranquilo here because Andrade Cien Almas is here, and I am mucho excited. All right, so because I keep forgetting, let's talk about Bobby Lashley. And I think this is exactly the problem with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is huge. He's powerful. He's good in the ring. To me, he is completely forgettable.
Delete!
And I know that might be unfair. And I'm not saying he's not good at what he does. He is. But he's just I don't know, unremarkable. He's forgettable. He doesn't have that thing where I'm excited to see him, and they haven't let him talk yet, which I think is a huge mistake, because if you want to get him over, you got to put him on a microphone or some sort of vignette, something. And so far, it's not helping him. It's not helping the cause.
Well, you talk about hiding weaknesses. Talking is not one of Bobby Lashley's strengths. He's gotten better at it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, video packages can cure any ills in WWE because they're so good at that. That's one thing where you want to go down memory lane stronger with him because he
has no character. Like,
you're
what's
right.
his character?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's just a beast.
He's just a strong guy. Okay, great. I mean, so like everybody's strong now.
Impact did it well with him. I think they got him kind of around as a competitor, but. Yeah, I mean, it feels like extra to have Lashley on the show. I hate to say that because there's some aspects that I like to watch about him wrestling, but he feels like it's candy right now, but it's not even really tasting good at this point.
it's like crappy candy, says
Werther's Original. That's what it is.
Oh my God, yeah, it's like old people weird candy that you're like, well, it's candy, but is it really? Are you enjoying it? I don't know.
Well, he's never coming on our show, I guess. So
I don't know. He won't be a friend of our show. It's okay. I don't think we have to worry. Who knows? Everybody's going to be a friend of our show eventually when we're huge and popular. But as if we're not now, but we'll be even bigger soon, I'm sure. All right, let's talk about the Andre the Giant documentary.
Something much more memorable and a much more memorable competitor.
It was. And, if you haven't seen it, look, this is the rule of 10 and 20. You got 10 days to watch a TV show. You got 20 days to watch a movie before I'll talk about it on air.
Nice.
Yeah, we hit the 10 and 20 rule already. So the 10 days for TV, if you didn't see it, that's just your problem.
Yep.
It was great. I wish there was actually a little bit more about his independent scene stuff and a little bit more about him early days in wrestling and a little bit more. If it were a 2-hour documentary, I wouldn't have minded the sidetrack about the WrestleMania 3 that got really into WWE and Hulk Hogan a lot and Vince McMahon a lot, which I didn't mind, but I felt considering it was 90 minutes, it was a little bit too much compared to how much it was about Andre the Giant himself.
Yeah.
So, and they had some cool indie stuff and they had some of that territorial stuff. I just wanted more of it. And because WWE helped produce it, I think that's why you got the spin you got on it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote down, just because they were producing. They wanted to have Hogan as a featured aspect. And don't get me wrong, Hogan and the Andre, that was a very important dynamic.
It was huge. And I was there.
Like
I saw it in Nassau Coliseum. Yep. It was huge,
Yep. But it did feel a little like they went too deep into Hogan for too long. They could have just said, okay, he rose to be the biggest, babyface competitor of all time or whatever. But, yeah, I'm with you. The Andre stuff, I think, they could have gone into a little bit more of the granular stuff. I guess maybe I don't know if they didn't have the rights to some of the stuff, maybe, but the HBO documentary.
Well, but you see, they do because WWE owns the rights to all the old wrestling stuff. And they bought everything.
Yeah.
So they own all the libraries. The problem is they control all the libraries.
Right.
So it's like, how much do we want to talk about what it was there, and how much do we want to talk about him? And granted, a lot of his career, on that regional circuit was for Vince's dad.
Right.
So it's not like he didn't work for them. It's just, it would have been a little bit nicer to see a little bit bigger bulk and a little bit, that tangent was a little long, as you called it. The stuff about Princess Bride was really fun too. That was, fun and sad,
Yeah. I mean, I put the Carrie Elways quote, he drank because he was in pain. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And it was sad. And the fact that he refused some of the medical treatments and stuff like that. And had he been diagnosed earlier in his life when he became 15 and the growing really took hold and he started growing, that they could have helped him medically had they diagnosed it. And even later in life, there were things and surgeries and stuff they could have done, but he just didn't want to go through that all. And, a bittersweet kind of tale. Not as fun as the Ric Flair documentary, but certainly a fun one as, to watch and to learn. For those of you who don't know about Andre, for those of younger wrestling fans who don't really know much about him, he's just this mythical figure. So, go check it out. All right. Let's do it. We're going to do this real fast in honor of the reboots of characters, reboots of SmackDown and Raw, new talent coming in and out. We're going to do our top 5. Tim Heaney, let's make a list.
You just made the list.
We are going to make a list of our top 5 favorite reboots and just plow through them. Give me your top 5 through 1, your favorite character reboots where they went from an awful character or something that wasn't working to, my God, he's so over.
Terrorizing to Triple H is number 5.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Even
Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Yeah, there's 2 of them actually. Although Hunter Hearst Helmsley had his spots until the Ultimate Warrior wrecked him. But anyway, Triple H, of course, great one. Dustin Runnels to Goldust. I guess you could kind of morph that from WCW to WWE, but of course Goldust being one of the greatest gimmicks of all time, if not the greatest. The Rock, Rocky Maivia, Die Rocky Die into People's Champion. That's a huge changeover.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Yankem and fake Undertaker to Kane. I think that's probably the most dynamic one. And you could argue that number 1 could have gotten over on his own eventually, but Ringmaster to Stone Cold Steve Austin. How can you not have that number 1?
Yes. Look, we have the same number 1 as Austin, so I don't want to take too much time on this. And we have a lot of the same names. Actually, we have 4 of the same names.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we had a Rhodes on there, but I had a different one.
Yeah.
I had Cody Rhodes. Talk about somebody remaking themselves and getting over. Now, I know it wasn't in the same company necessarily, but you talk about a reboot of a character and a guy who was just kind of lost in the shuffle almost, or just misused or mishandled, whatever you want to call it. So he was my number 5. Dr. Isaac Yankem to Kane. I might not be the biggest Kane fan, but I respect the mileage they got out of that character and where they were, or even Fake Diesel. indicated, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
He had 2 terrible gimmicks. Triple H was my number 3. The Rock was 2. And, of course, Stone Cold is 1. I thought about JBL, but I just hate him so much that I just refuse to put him on any list. Unless it's just guys that I hate.
I'm with you, man. But it did carry him for a while. It was a good move.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, what are you looking for this weekend in terms of wrestling news and notes and stuff going on in NXT? Because now there's a lot of holes in NXT.
I know. It's going to be a lot of people elevating. The big one was War Machine debuting as War Raiders from that taped episode before the takeover. Was really, really happy to see that. And yeah, I'm with you. I had to catch up on a lot of the ROH and New Japan stuff. We've been kind of buried our heads into WWE. I think now it's going to be a great time for us to kind of poke our heads out of the sand a little bit here.
That's right. The shakeups are over.
Yeah.
And you know what? They did a really good job of making up for a crappy end to WrestleMania because I think all of us, and we were sitting there 2 weeks ago going, you know what? They really need to dig us out of this hole because it's in a hole right now. And they did a good job aftermath shows and did a good job with the shakeup. So it's like it never happened. I feel like we're, out of a bad relationship, almost like Nikki Bella. And we're just out there now, and we're single, and we're free, and we've made more time now for New Japan, and we're going to see other people.
We're fearless.
We are fearless. We are fearless. And
but we have to talk about the Greatest Royal Rumble before that next week, which
we'll briefly tag that, and look, we'll all watch it and do the recap of that too. But certainly, we'll get to more NXT, more ROH, New Japan stuff, and a lot of the Bullet Club drama that's going on. Look. It's April. This is what April's about. Mm-hmm. If you love wrestling, this is part of it, okay? And look, this is a lot of positive stuff, and we're talking a lot of indie darlings who are getting some huge opportunities now on
Brian
main
was a
roster.
Great guy on the show, so
and we got Brian Pillman Jr. So there's your indie stuff for the day. I mean, it doesn't get more indie than Flying Brian Jr. for God's sakes. So we hope you like the show. Please, please, please go subscribe on iTunes. Give us a 5-star amazing rating. Write a comment about how much you find us just incredibly interesting and entertaining, and how it's the greatest wrestling podcast ever. Please go do that. Help us out here because we love doing this show for you. We're the People's Show. Go follow us on Twitter at InThisRing, at Joe Pizapia17, and at Tim_Heaney. And, of course, check out all the great content on inthisleague.com. So iTunes, subscribe, SoundCloud, subscribe. Whatever you got to do, do it. That'll do it for us. We hope you enjoy the show. We'll be back next week, and we will be ready for more action right here. And remember, kids, to be the men, you got to beat the men, and we are the men. Woo!